Hey everyone, my name is Zanola Celeste. Thank you so much for joining me on my YouTube channel today. Last week was a very big week. We kicked off the year 2020, which is exciting in itself, and it was also the first time I ever posted a YouTube video. So thank you for your love and support so far. If you haven't already, make sure you like the videos, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at zanola.celeste. I'm just happy that you guys are back. You know, today is going to be a great day. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you, God, for getting me here. I know we all have those days where we're like, I can't believe we made it. And I'm just going to start by saying this is probably my 30th time trying to record a video. In fact, I finished a video and then all of a sudden it did this weird thing where it deleted the video. So I had to do it again, which would make it 31 times. And maybe I'm just being a little bit dramatic, but I say all that to say, I hope that you get this message, and I hope that you can relate to it, and it just touches whoever it needs to touch. With that being said, it was very frustrating. So I guess my message today is to talk about frustrations in our lives that can lead us to depression and can lead us to having bad anxiety. So right before all this happened, I'm just trying to add music into my video, do this and do that, and nothing went as planned. Absolutely nothing went as planned. And that's what happens sometime in life. The more we live life, the more things can go wrong. And then we have things that go really good. So we have to choose to reflect on our good days and not our bad days. I remember a season in my life where I was very depressed. I was not myself at all. I, in fact, probably didn't even realize I was going through depression, but I didn't want to get up out of bed. I didn't want to go anywhere. I just was not my normal smiley self, which I mostly am 24/7. This is just who I am, but I was not that person. I lost that person. I lost who I was. I lost who God called me to be, which brought me to the scripture, which is 2 Timothy 6-9. It just simply says that God did not give us a spirit of fear. He gave us a spirit of power, love, and self-discipline. That is so powerful because God gave us a spirit of power, love, and self-discipline. If we just remember those three things when we're going through life, I believe that we can continue to push through our bad days. Sometimes our mind gets the best of us. I know I would have thoughts in my mind that would just simply tell me, you know, you're not worthy, Zanola. You're not going to accomplish that. You're never going to be who God has called you to be. You're never going to get married. You're never going to have kids. You're never going to do all this great stuff that you want to do. Those were thoughts in my head. Then I began to say, well, if I would have done this way, then I would be further in life. And I kept replaying those things in my head, but in reality, God is not a God of the past. He is a God of the present. He's a God of the future. When you're driving, you don't look in your rearview mirror 24/7. You look out in front of you. So I chose to look out in front of me. And even when I was going through that hard time, I also just kept praying. I got to a point actually in which I stopped praying. And I think that's something that we struggle from. We just stop praying. I did it because I was frustrated, because I thought to myself, God, you know what? I'm praying all the time. I'm going to church all the time. And I'm overall a good person. Yet I still have these terrible thoughts in my head. Why? Why can't I control my mind? Why can't my mind just stop racing? And then one day I was driving to work, and it just got really bad, and I just started calling on his name. I simply just said, Jesus. I said it one time, and the thoughts kept coming, so then I said, Jesus. I said it twice, and I said, Jesus. And I just kept simply calling his name. I felt a strain on our relationship, and granted, there's nothing we can do to separate our love from God. And I just began to call his name because I had nothing else to say. I had no words to say. And a lot of times that's what happens when you're depressed. You don't have anything to say, you just know how you feel. And we need to learn how to get out of it, because you can get out of it. We just have to figure out what got us there to begin with, to be able to backtrack a little bit and to just fix those things. I think a lot of times depression simply stems from comparison. Me personally, I would compare myself to people on the internet or different people that I saw, like, oh, they have this, when in reality, I don't know their story. I don't know what they've been through. I don't know what they're going through, and I darn sure don't know what their testimony is, and they don't know mine. So how can I dare compare myself to somebody's story who I don't know anything about? Yeah, everything looks good and fancy, just like I think I've said this in the last video. Everything here looks good and fancy. But just about 10 minutes ago, I was laying on my bedroom floor trying to figure out if I even wanted to record this, because I couldn't get it right the first time. Comparison is literally a joy stealer. Comparison is a joy stealer. We have to learn how to cut those things off, block our ear gate and block our eye gate, and focus on what is in front of us. I had to realize that God did not call me to be a depressed person. He didn't call me to have anxiety. He didn't tell me that I was less than or unworthy. The only thing that he says in here, he tells us who we are. He literally tells us that he gives us the power of love, self-discipline, and power. He did not give us timidness. He did not give us fearfulness. That is not something that he gave us. But somewhere along the line, life came and smacked us upside the head, and we began to take on that identity. So now we have to let go of that identity. So you see, when you're born into this world, when you're a small child, you have absolutely no fears, which is probably why children do crazy things like flip off of couches or jump off of things, because they literally have no fear. But as an adult, we begin to develop fears because we've seen something with our eyes, or we heard something with our ears, somebody told us something, or we're looking at what the other person is doing. So in a sense, we have to take back our childlike selves, our mentality when we didn't have fears, and life will be so much better. And if you feel like your relationship from God is strained and that is what you're struggling on, hey, I'm struggling on it too, daily. Daily, I sit before God, I'm just like, please help me. And sometimes I feel like maybe he's not even talking to me, so I still don't have it together. In fact, I called my sweet little grandma and I asked her to help me digest this scripture to make sure I was getting it right. I say all that to say you're probably never going to have it 100% together. And if you wait for yourself to have it 100% together to walk in your purpose, to walk in whatever it is you're supposed to do, you're never going to get to walk in or get to step in. It's never going to be perfect. You just have to go out there with what you have. If you have depression, one of the first things I do recommend, I am all here for therapy. That is one of the things that helped me out is therapy. Sometimes we need that outside perspective. And you also need prayer. Sometimes it's just like pray for this, pray for that, and just keep it moving. But God does give us therapists and counselors to be able to utilize them to help us understand what we're going through. So I do recommend counseling and I recommend prayer. I recommend both of them because that's what got me through. I am a living, breathing testimony that you can get through whatever it is that you're going through. And I believe in you. We just have to come together and do the work. And if you don't understand what I'm saying because you've never been through depression, maybe you know somebody who's going through depression. You need to stop, pause, and be a good friend. Be a good parent to them. Be a good sister to them. Whatever your role is in their life, be good to them. Drag them out the house. Tell them that they're wonderful. Send them positive, encouragement because they need that. Smiley people, when you smile all the time and everything like that, sometimes there is something going on in you that you just don't want to display. That was my story. But now I can genuinely say when I'm happy, I'm actually happy and actually live out my truth. And I believe that's probably why this message was so hard for me to record today, because there's a lot of people that's going to be set free by this. There's a lot of people that's going to be healed by this. There's a lot of people that's going to be touched by this, because it's something that we can pretty much all relate to. When something doesn't go as planned, you have to keep pushing. No matter where you look in the scripture, God calls us to be great. He calls us to be good. We spend a lot of time in our life trying to figure out what it is we're called here to do. Which brings me to the gifts that he gives us that are already inside of us. Also in the scripture, it says that Paul is saying that, and of this gospel I was appointed a herald and an apostle and a teacher. Paul was appointed to be someone great. Whenever you're called to greatness, you're going to go through a struggle. And when I was going through depression, I was suppressing who I was meant to be, which made me doubt everything that God has ever placed inside of me. So what I would do when I was going through depression, the lid would be on. This is me depressed, the lid on. And then I would get to a phase where I would take the lid off, unscrew the lid, but the lid would still be on. Then going through depression, I would take the lid off. Okay, now I got things inside of me. Then I began to pull out the gifts and talents that God gave me. Slowly begin to pull them out. As I begin to pull them out and walk into everything that he has for me, I begin to get released. And what do you know? The lid's off. There's no more depression. There's no more anxiety, because I know who he's called me to be. You just have to take the lid off. When you take your lid off, you take your limit off. You take every expectation it is that you have placed on yourself, and you just set yourself free. You begin to realize who you are, but you also have to remember to walk in self-discipline. You can't temporarily fix yourself to make yourself feel better. I would do temporary fixes. I would pray for a few days, then I'm like, okay, I'm good. Then life knocks me back off on my butt, and then now I'm all the way back at the bottom again. You have to heal from the inside out to be able to move forward, to become who you've meant to be. Most importantly, you have to get your power back. Get your power back. That's all it is. Depression, anxiety, those are just words to me. Yes, they are real, and I know this. I was a psychology major, and unfortunately, they teach you how to diagnose it, but they don't teach you necessarily how to get through it if you're going through it. Nobody teaches you that, because nobody wants to talk about it. But the more we talk about it, the more we help other people. See, I strongly believe that whatever you're going through is meant to set someone else free. And that's what life is always about, setting someone else free. Whatever your story is, someone is waiting for you to push past those limits and break out of those chains and break out of that bondage, to be able to put your hand down and pull them up and say, I've got you. You can get through this. And that's just all I want to do, is encourage you today. If you're going through those things, first, seek help. Second, tell someone close to you that loves you what you're going through. And if you're that caretaker, don't judge that person, because you never know when the shoe is going to be on the other foot. And always remember who God called us to be. I really just want you guys to just focus on 2 Timothy chapter 1, verses 6 through 14. I think that it's a lot. It's a long little scripture to get through, but it's good knowledge. It is absolutely breathtaking. In fact, when I was reading it, I begin to cry, simply because I just remember what it was going through those times. And then I look at myself now and I'm like, wow, God, I made it. And to be honest, I barely can remember what it was like, because he pulled me so far out of it. I know you may have more bad days than good days. When you're depressed, it's kind of like a roller coaster, but you can stay steady. And then as you stay steady, you begin to climb up and climb up, until when a negative thought pops in your head, you're like, Jesus, it's out. Another negative thought, Jesus, it's out. So my goal for you this week is to walk in boldness, get your power back, and understand who God called you to be. You are not a person who is depressed. You are not a person who has anxiety. And that's what I had to tell myself. I had to tell myself, Zanola, those things do not define you. That is not you. God has called you to be someone greater. That is not you. You can do this. And I talk to myself every day, and I simply just called in his name little by little. It doesn't seem like much, but he hears you. He is listening to you, and don't you ever give up. Do not ever give up. And that's what I just want to leave you with today. So I do apologize if this was everywhere, but I know that this message is from somebody, because it wouldn't have took me about 30 takes to take this. So pull yourself out. You can do this, and I will be here with you along the way to help get you out of that spot, because it simply breaks my heart to see us live in that way, because I know how it was when I was there, and I know how it is getting up every day and fighting to be the best person that you can be. Just know that your story is not over. If you're having suicidal thoughts, that is not you. You will get through it. And you're going to get through it. None of those things that happen in your head is true. We already saw who God called us to be. We already see the power that he's given us. We just have to go walk it out and do the work. So I love you guys, and I pray for everyone who is going through that. I pray that you, one, get the help that you do need. Lean on somebody who you trust and can help walk you through this, and also just simply call his name. Start there. Call his name. If you feel like you don't have a relationship with him, simply just call his name. All right, guys, walk this out. Let's walk this out together. Like, subscribe, comment, and just simply help each other out. I think this is a huge topic that we may have to continue to repeat, but we will get through it. My name is Enola Celeste, and enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of the day or the night, whatever time zone you're whatever time zone you're in, enjoy the rest of your day. All right, guys. Bye. Thank you for watching.